I says, we're getting fresh manna in here almost every Saturday, and it's not just coming from me. I says, y'all broke down that Lacam. I said, that was the Rawak breaking that down. I says, the brothers, every Saturday, it's multiple brothers getting a fresh manna from the Shemayim. I says, Gerald has grown light years these last couple months. And it's not because we're great teachers. It's the Rawak, and Yah sees his heart. He wants the truth. He wants the Father, and the Father got to honor his promise. It's not because I'm some great teacher. No, Yah sees this man's heart. He wants to know the truth, Father. He's putting the time, man. He's forsaken Babylon. Go talk to him. This is the heritage we have, family. All praise be to Aba Yah. All praise be to Aba Yah. So any other comments or questions before we transition? So I want to take a few weeks, like I said, us going deep and heavy, but losing people is not fruitful. We're doing 2-3 hour classes and only a handful is getting edification. I feel like I fail as a teacher. So I want to make sure everybody's on the same page, but everybody has to be putting the same kind of effort in. If you don't have the freedom to study 3 hours at a time, won't you do 30 minutes for 5 days? But you can't just be coming here on Saturday thinking that you're going to be keeping up with the rest of us. I've been working full time the whole time I've been in this, and I had to give up the gym. I didn't always look this terrible. I would get up at 3:30, be dressed and at the gym by 3:45. I'm in the gym from 4 a.m. to about 5:30, showering at the gym and going to work. And then when this Most High got me, I would be up 2 in the morning, like looking for this bone. Like some mornings I would hear the birds chirping, like my eyes are bleeding. I just get some coffee. I gotta go to work. So you gotta give up something for this. So those of you who think we're super deep, we're not super deep. Ain't nothing super deep about our lifestyle. It's the fact that we're putting the time in. So if you're just one of those doing this thing like church, showing up Saturday, and you ain't going back over none of these scriptures, you ain't opening up none of these resources, you won't be able to keep up with us. But this thing that we're doing, we're not special. It's your Yah-given heritage to understand these scrolls. But because of this curse, you got to put the time in. You make time to eat, you make time to breathe, you got to make time to seek Yah. That makes sense? So we're going to pause. We're still going into uprooting Christianity. But what I want to do, especially for our new folks, I want to give you the Berean study methods. And you can add on to this. You can strengthen this. And anything you find that helps you, it may help me. So you can add on to this. But these are just some foundational study habits that help unlock our scrolls. But the reason it takes the scholarship level that we go through is because of defiled bread. It was part of the punishment. We already knew it. It was part of our contract. When we said that all that he said we would do, he told us that if we broke it, I'm going to scatter you among the Gentiles, and you're going to eat defiled bread. He meant that physically and spiritually. So we got to go through all this scholarship because we've been served defiled bread. The greatest piece of defiled bread is coming from the translations. Things get lost in translation. You can visit this website here. It's packed full of different codexes. And codex is just an old-fashioned word for book. So they got Greek codices, they got Aramaic. Any fragment they found that had the Hebrew scrolls in it, they're collecting it digitally, and this site has a ton of them. So the greatest defilement, it seems like it helped us, and I guess it did to our elders who had to speak Greek, but deciphering what's being said in another language has led to a lot of confusion. Twist your cap on the West Coast may not be the same power and meaning as twist your cap on the West Coast. You go on the West Coast talking about, yo, dog, you want to twist caps? That brother may pull out a Tech 9 or something because they're in a different culture. So our scrolls in these Greek codices don't have the same power and effect as the Hebrew language. That was the whole point of that phonetic exercise. So most Christians and Hebrews now, the Israelites, they don't even know the source of their Bible. You go spend all this money, I did it, let's get me a Sefer, let me get me a Basora, let me get me a Septuagint. But what is that what's the root? What is your translation based on? What do you mean? Which codex did they use to translate your Bible? So can you read the Codex Sinaiticus for us?
The Codex Sinaiticus is a manuscript of the Christian Bible.
Stop. Now, you have to understand their terms. When they say the Christian Bible, they mean so-called Old and so-called New Testament together. And in seminary terms and in ancient Christendom, the Christian Bible is both Old and New Testament. The Hebrew Bible is just the Tanakh. That makes sense? Read on.
Written in the middle of the 4th century.
What's the 4th century?
The 300s.
300s. About 350. When did Hamashiach die? 1st century. So this codex is 300 years after our king has come and gone. That's significant. That's significant. Read on.
Contains the Old Testament in Greek and the earliest copy of the Christian New Testament. The handwritten text is in Greek. The Old Testament appears in the version known as the Septuagint or Old Greek that was adopted by early Greek-speaking Christians.
The Septuagint is certified. Read on.
The New Testament appears in the original vernacular language, Kohanim. The text of both the Septuagint and the New Testament has been heavily annotated by a series of early correctors.
Now, I'm not educated. What does annotated mean?
They went back in and added notes and added things.
You see, you think you up here preaching a grace doctrine and preaching salvation, and the text that your Bible is based on has been annotated. I'm gonna scratch this out. I'm gonna put this note in there, and now you're preaching. What? You can have that law. I'm gonna walk on grace. You're gonna walk on some grace, all right. You read a redacted scroll. The second, and one of the oldest codexes is in the Vatican, and that word is a pagan word. It means snake people. But let's go ahead and read that.
Codex Vaticanus is one of the oldest extant manuscripts of the Greek Bible, Old and New Testament, dating from the 4th century AD. The codex is named after its place of conservation in the Vatican Library, where it has been kept since at least the 15th century. It is written on 759 leaves of vellum in unical letters and has been dated paleographically to the 4th century.
So it's saying it's about old as the Sinaiticus, but they got it on vellum is animal skins. And I believe unical letters, meaning the letters have been separated. They're no longer connected like cursive. So this is a different type of writing, but it's about the old as the other one too. And the Pope, the devil's been controlling this one. Not because he's Esau, it's just because Rome is the devil. Now, it had nothing to do with Esau. Rome is the devil or the enemy. The next one.
The Codex Alexandrinus is a 5th century manuscript and of the Greek Bible containing the majority of the Septuagint and New Testament. It is one of 4 great unical codices. Along with the Codex Sinaiticus and the Codex Vaticanus, it is one of the earliest and most complete manuscripts of the Bible.
People around here debating and making up their own doctrine. They can't even tell you which codex their Bible is based on. These things matter. And these codexes right here is just for the New Testament, because most of the Bibles you got, the Old Testament is based on a different codexes. But most of these, your New Testament is coming from one of them. Do you know which one of these codices your New Testament is coming from? That's been heavily annotated and redacted. The next one.
The Codex Ephraemi Rescriptus is a 5th century manuscript of the Greek Bible containing 6 books of the Greek Old Testament and the majority of the New Testament except 2 Thessalonians and 2 John. The Old Testament books that remain are Job, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Songs of Songs. Did he mean to say Songs of Solomon?
I think that's what that is.
Wisdom and Sirach.
All the old codices has the Apocrypha in them. And these people know this. So when we read from the Apocrypha books, they are our heritage. Our elders, righteous men, wrote those records. These are just some of the oldest ones I pulled. You had something up?
Gerald, go ahead, Gerald.
Yeah, you hitting something right now, Morale, with this stuff, because this is one of the things that was like one of the first eye openers for me, coming out of the J-Dubs, because when it comes to these codexes, the Vatican Library, you know, they pretty much own all of this stuff and was trying to keep this stuff from the public. And then you're probably going to go into it, the whole Texas Receptus with the King James and all of that stuff and the opposing. But when I found out that the JW, well, the point I want to make first is a lot of people, they can tell you what's wrong. They quick to tell you what's wrong with your faith. They learn everything they need to know to try to expose what's wrong with everybody else's faith, but they don't even know the foundation of their own faith. You know, and that's the problem with a lot of these religions, because they don't research the foundation, the origin or the genesis of their own faith. And when I started looking into who all of these modern Bibles, what codexes they used that influenced it, and you probably gonna talk about the Westcott and Hort and all that stuff. I don't know if you're going that far, but all of that stuff, they're Vatican Jesuit trained so-called theologians who influence a lot of these modern Bibles, and they use those codexes. And when I found out that the so-called, because people say Jehovah's Witnesses got their own Bible, and for a lot of times I used to know how to defend it, right? But the reality is they do got their own Bible. And I come to find out that they used to tell you in a lot of the first, second, third translation of their Bible, they would tell you that they use Westcott and Hort, they use Nestles, they use the Alexandrian, the Sinaiticus and all stuff like that. But what they won't tell you is the last one they did, the silver one, they don't tell you what resources they use. They just say the writers just choose to be unanimous because they don't want to detract from the word of God or whatever the case may be. But they don't want to expose their hand. But the point is, all of the modern Bibles come through that channel of what you just broke down, those 4 ones, they all come through that. And when I figured that out, man, that was like mind-blowing. That was mind-blowing to me, because but I'm gonna stop right here because I don't know how far you're gonna go with it. But I just wanted to plug in and just say that, and then I'll just wait and see how far you go with it if I say anything else.
This is just a surface. This is actually review. We go in depth into other classes. All these men that he mentioned, Westcourt, Nessel, and Alan, these men, pagans, made fraternities, societies. And if you want to be part of our society, you got to use this text. And sometimes they'll just change one word. We're not going to call him Lord in our text. We're going to call him Adonai. So if you want to be a part of our group, you got to call him Adonai. All these pagans gave you this stuff. So we're not going that deep today, Gerald. This is just really review for the new people.
That's just like with Montel and where they were at. The lady had took the Bible and redid the Bible. Remember we watched?
Whew, I praise the Most High for y'all helping that brother. Them people making up their own, just redacting a whole bunch of stuff on the fly. Now this was hard to see. Now these two are based on Hebrew. This is what your Old Testament is going to be based on, one of these two. Can you see that?
The Aleppo Codex was produced around 930 CE. It is not a complete witness to the Masoretic text. The Codex begins in Deuteronomy 28:17. So most of the Pentateuch is missing. Also missing are parts of Songs of Solomon, all of Ecclesiastes, Lamentations, Esther or Hadassah, Daniel, Ezra, and Nehemiah. The picture above is linked to the text online. No, never mind, that ain't important.
Right.
Codex. Okay, good.
So this Aleppo Codex got destroyed. The people got mad at the Israelites, at the Hebrews, and they burnt the city, and this Aleppo Codex got almost destroyed completely. That's why it's fragmented. The one on the bottom, can you read the one on the bottom for us out?
The Codex Leningrad follows the Ben Ashur tradition.
A Talmudist.
It is used as the basis for Biblia Hebraica series. It dates back to 1009 BC, CE.
See, they keep playing with their nomenclature.
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah, CE is just common era or AD of the Roman. They keep trying to confuse people. 1009 of this current Roman system. When did we get put on ships?
1492.
This Bible is brand spanking new. If this Bible was a car, if this codex was a car, it got maybe 25,000 miles on it. This is what you basing your salvation on. The Leningrad Codex. Read on.
Click on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Leningrad Codex. Anybody military? Anybody military? Travelers?
I know that's right.
Anybody know what Leningrad is?
But you going somewhere.
It's funny, you have the most popular codex that all the Bibles are written based on, and guess who's raising up now? These things are not coincidences. You're taking pictures that you know about to go out to the world, and behind you is what? None of these things are coincidences, family. Go ahead, Yasha, bring it out.
I was gonna say, just the landing back what you're saying, like regarding the Russians, them having this codex and them taking pictures that are going to be released out through mainstream media of melanated individuals who are biblical. You know, that's telling them something. It's only going people who know what this is will pick it, but it's going to go over people's heads who don't know who are hip to it.
It's just a coincidence that Putin wants to raise up. And it's just a coincidence that he's at a press conference and he just so happens to stop in front of this picture. And this picture is characters of the Bible who are melanated. But Mr. Khazar in Ukraine and Poland and Israel, you're saying that you're the people, but I got originals in my vault of the original people of the Bible. Y'all gotta get that. So here's the most popular codex that the Masoretic text used. What do y'all notice about this codex? It is upside down. not literally. It is backwards. It's not really upside down.
It's using the Syrian, the modern.
Those are not Hebrew characters. This is a made up script. Y'all see the dots and nikus and shikus above some of the letters? This is the abomination. Deuteronomy 4:2 says what?
Not add nor take away.
So when you add to the actual language pronunciation, you're adding to his word. Yahweh is not God. Adonai is not Adonai. This is an abomination. But this is what you're basing your salvation on. These adulterated texts. And then you can see in the margins, they got notes in the margins. This is what you're basing your salvation on, thinking you're debating someone, thinking you're shutting someone down. You have no idea what your book is based on. This is the level of scholarship we go through, not to be special. We want to be with Yah. So like Montel was saying, we love our people. And we got to have patience and maturity. Even me, that's why I tell you, I think the most time for my wife, I see these people like, It's no need for me even to respond to you. You have no clue what you're saying, what you're doing. No clue. So going back to the Greek codexes, the Greek codexes was used to build your New Testament. But family, they won't tell you where these codexes come from. Who translated these Hebrew letters into these Greek codexes? All the scholars don't know. They speculate. It's speculated. I know Matthew, Mark, Luke, I know none of them wrote their scrolls in Hebrew. You can say what you want. They were not Hellenists. Those were Israelites, nationalists. Yahweh Shai says, what did y'all go out to the desert to see? That lets me know that they didn't stay a part of the Hellenized Judea. Yahweh Shai went and got Israelite nationalists to be his 12. So you can't tell me Matthew, Mark, and Luke and them wrote in Greek. You're a lie. They wrote in Hebrew. So where are you getting all these Greek fragments from? Who wrote these Greek fragments? Can you read this?
The life of Constantine and through Eusebius.
Chapter 36.
Constantine's letter to Eusebius on the preparation of the copies of the Holy Scriptures. Victor Constantius Maximus Augustus to Eusebius. It happens through the favoring providence.
Stop 1 second. That's where you get the month of August. No. He just adopted Augustus. Somebody before him is named for August. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Augustus Caesar.
Caesar. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I used to like that name before I started.
Yeah, I don't think it was this Constantine. It was before
I
him.
was born in August. But yeah, it happens through the favoring providence of God, our Savior, that great numbers have united themselves to the most holy church in the city, which is called by my name. It seems therefore highly requisite that since that city is rapidly advancing in prosperity in all other respects, that the number of churches should also be increased. Do you therefore receive with all readiness my determination on this behalf? I have thought it expedient to instruct you prudence to order 50 copies of the sacred text, sacred scriptures, the provision and of use of which you know to be most needful for the instruction of the church, to be written on prepared parchment in legible manner and in a convenient portable form.
What's convenient portable form means to us?
Bible.
A Bible. Your first Bible was produced by pagans. We had scrolls. If you can afford it, you were carrying around Isaiah and the prophets on scrolls. If you couldn't afford it, you memorized it. So your convenient form is coming from pagans. Read on.
Written on. By professional transcribers thoroughly practiced in their art. The Catholicus of the diocese has also received instructions by letter from our clemency to be careful to furnish all things necessary for the preparation of such copies, and it will be for you to take special care that they be completed with as little delay as possible.
What is Constantine saying?
He's saying, look, I got this decree. I got the feeling that with the town increasing in prosperity, I need you to go ahead and whip up some increases in the church. I need these letters and these scriptures written down on the Bibles, and it would behoove you to do it quickly. And it's kind of like a drug deal is what I'm getting out of it this time. This is the second time for me hearing this part. And I'm seeing that it's like he's passive aggressive.
Constantine is a man of war. Constantine has conquered all of the Roman government was shared by three heads. One head got evil, they killed him. The other head plotted to kill Constantine, and Constantine was like, I was going to share the empire with you. Now I'm coming to get it all. Constantine has taken the world, and his soldiers are the best men. Constantine is that dude. So when Constantine says, I know you're going to have this done by 5 o'clock, right? Yeah, go ahead, have a great day. It's not a request. So when he says, translate these scriptures, and I'm sure you'll do it carefully and speedily. It's not a request. Get this done ASAP.
And to my Aba Yah, Nariah, and Aba Yah, he like Falcone. Y'all, they'll get that. But it says, it would be necessary, and it would be for you to take special care that they be completed with as little delay as possible. You have authority also in virtue of this letter to use 2 of the public carriages for their conveyance, by which arrangement the copies, when fairly written, will most easily be forwarded for my personal inspection.
Say what?
He got to check the merchandise out first. He got to make sure it's pure.
I want to make sure you ain't saying nothing against my reign and my government. Because I don't really know who y'all are. Y'all being friendly to Rome, but y'all not really Roman soldiers and citizens. Eusebius. So Eusebius, round up all your educated men and those of you who can read Hebrew, or if they can't read Hebrew, you do whatever you got to do, get them together and get this done. And when you're done, set them on my desk. So this is 337 AD after the Council of Nicaea. Nike, the goddess of victory. After the Council of Nicaea, Nike, the goddess of victory. That's where they had the council at.
And that's when they start, you know what I'm saying, playing games with the phonetics. They don't say Nicaea, they say Nicaea.
That's why we put it back out there to teach y'all they're not Caesars, they are Khazars. They married the Khazarian Empire, and that city was not Nicaea, it's Nicaea, where you get the Nike from, the swoosh marks, the goddess of victory.
Give me 1 second. You have to be pretty mature to be privy to this type of teaching, because I'm dealing with a family member now that just has all kind of I don't want to say they don't believe in the Bible. They're like, they don't trust the Bible. And it's like there's a lot of errors that we find, and now we're finding there's a lot of manuscripts that have been just we've been deceived by what's been put in them. So I just wanted to mention that. I don't know how we talk to our family members that kind of have are reserved or to believe any of the thing that's going on or that's being taught in these Bibles.
You definitely will have, this is definitely not for babes. This is not for intro. If I'm dealing with someone who's a skeptic, because I dealt with the Muslims, Queen, I dealt with the Muslims, I dealt with the 5%ers, and you get the scoffers saying that, oh, the Bible is a white man's book. And the Bible was, so how I would address that, take me to the particular passage that you have a problem with. Take me to the particular verse that you thought was written by a white man. And what you're going to find out is that people taking those positions, they're just repeating things they heard. It's just water cooler talk, locker room talk. Watch out for the Bible, it's tainted. Okay, well, which verse you read that was tainted? Well, I'm just saying it. You don't know. You're just repeating locker room talk. So this is not for babes, but for those who come at you with that position, will say, yeah, well, do you have a Bible with you? Do you own a Bible? Oh, I don't have a Bible. You don't have a Bible, but you know it. Oh, that's why I don't have one, because it's tainted. So you made a decision that it's tainted, so you don't have a Bible. So you must have read something that you proved was tainted. That's the scholarship you got to take. Please take me to something, because when they say, you know, King James was a homosexual. Oh, that's funny, because it says here that homosexuals are going to burn in the lake. If I'm King James and I'm a homosexual, I'm making sure I take that out. This Bible, even in its tainted forms, this Bible protects no gender, it protects no group. So when people come at you with those statements, be patient with them, be mature and be tactical. So, well, yeah, well, I like to hear more. Wow, show me what part that you found that was tainted, and then go from there. That was a great point, Queen. That's how you address that. You said somebody had a comment?
Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, yeah, I was just looking at when he said, by which arrangement the copies, when fairly written, will most easily be forwarded for my personal inspection. When he said fairly written, y'all, he's saying that he wanted to be justified in the way that he wants it to be, or in other words, like impartial, like nothing against him when when the scriptures are being when we instructing the church to write it the way he wants it to be written. Is he saying that to take it as impartial as fairly according to the way he wants it to be?
All praise be to Aba Yah, because that's why we need all eyes on deck. I've read this and shared this many years, and I never really harped on that part. It could be, Brandon. Just write it fairly, write it so it's universal. Write it so it's universal. They can keep their Easter bunny. They can keep the Nimrod tree. I can't say for sure, Brandon, but that's a great and powerful point you bring out. I could have underlined. I'm not sure what he meant by that.
That's why I mentioned what I said, because it looked like he was trying to be in control of what was actually
What was being written. That's a great point. I can't say for sure, but that's a great point. That solidifies my point even further. By you Christians living by the New Testament, you have no clue what you're living by. That solidifies the point even further. The water of a for that. Anything else? You got something?
I was gonna say, like, back on that statement, on that point, reason why, like, I can say for the King James, why Easter is found, like in Acts, I think 13.
Yeah. When you read it, it exposes that they're honoring Easter. They're not talking about Pesach. Great point. I liked it, babe. I did, Queen, when I went back there. Great point. Great point. Now, for those of you who didn't understand or that sidebar distracted you, Yasha Yah is saying now with this information that no one knows for sure. I haven't found for sure, and the so-called seminary scholars don't know if those Greek codexes or derivatives of these 50 copies, but a lot of them says it's a strong, like what you say in the court of law is circumstantial evidence. A lot of them saying some of these 50 copies, these codexes has to be like one of these 50 copies. They can't say for sure, but circumstantial evidence, because when you're saying that y'all check the paper and y'all check the age and it's about the 4th century, 350, and then the Council of Nicaea was 325 to 327. It's like, we got circumstantial evidence that this New Testament that y'all reading is one of these 50 copies that Eusebius and his buddies translated, who knew no Hebrew, who wasn't Israelites, who were pagans. So that's why the Yasha Yah says you get Easter capitalized. If you check your Bible, Acts 13, where Easter is capitalized, won't no righteous Israelite capitalize Easter. Now I know it's by these publishers. I'm showing you the daughteration of this New Testament. No righteous Israelite is going to capitalize the word Easter because Easter is for Ashtar. But wait, there's more. So this is something I just found, and this is online. And this book is by a man named E. Christopher Reyes, and it's called In His Name. And this is volume of, I don't know what they're doing with those Roman numerals, because the first 2 characters is 4, but that C is 100. So I'm not, so 6 minus 100, this is volume 94. This is volume 94. He got a series In His Name. And this researcher in his series, he keeps unraveling Christianity. He keeps exposing Christianity, AKA the Catholic Church. So this is volume 94 of his series. Y'all sitting down for this? This is In His Name by Reyes, page 215. Can you read this for us, Op?
Ironically, the very imagery which the church condemns condemns is now accepted throughout the Catholic world today.
Say what?
Ironically, the very imagery which the church condemns is now accepted throughout the Catholic world today because it helps bring in pagan converts from third world countries.
What you say, Willis?
It helps bring in pagan converts from the third world countries.
So I'm not going to preach against Christmas because it packs the church. I'm not going to preach against Easter and the bunnies. The kids are having fun. Look at their pretty little dresses. I'm not going to talk about all my members on social media and having Valentine's Day couples meetings. Because it's pagan, but it's bringing in money. It's bringing in converts. Read on.
Because it helps bring in pagan converts from third world countries. And even though scripture states that I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt not have strange gods before me.
Never mind what the Most High is saying. Read on.
Thou shalt not make to thyself a graven thing, nor the likeness of anything that is in the heaven above or on the earth beneath. Thou shalt not adore them, nor serve them.
Got them pages cut right out your Bible. Read on.
Celsus even complains that Christian religion is nothing more than a pale reflection of their ancient pagan teachings.
Wow.
In defense of Christians worshiping religious pictures and statuary, we do not adore them, nor do we wish for them. He goes on to admonish the pagan for being guilty of using signs of crosses in their own worship and everyday life.
The ancient world knew where that cross came from. The ancient world knew that cross was for Tammuz, the Babylonian prince, the son of Nimrod. So the ancient world, Celsius like, you Christians, that cross ain't for no Messiah. Y'all know that cross is for Tammuz, or what you call it in your language, because the different country just changed the name of it. That's all he said. So Celsius like, y'all Christians, Catholics, you Protestants, y'all are doing nothing but ancient pagan worship. Now you got a cross in your church. You got 3 crosses out front for Passover. Around your neck.
Earrings.
Top of the building got one, earrings. And you actually get the Egyptian form of it, and you think it's for our Messiah. It's got tattoos on you. That has nothing to do with Israel. That's all Egyptian, pagan, Babylonian worship. Egypt followed Babylon. Babylon was that first great city. And Egypt was the second. Egypt copied off their cousins. Now Rome come over. Rome, you copying off Egypt and Babylon. And Celsius called them out.
Gerald.
Yeah, and you know, when you showed the phonetics of our language, the sounds and stuff like that, one of the symbols they use is like the T, the lowercase t. It looked like the cross. So for the people that try to make the argument that, well, no, you know, Hebrew people had this or whatever way before, we know the story they tell and how the cross got introduced to this so-called Christian religion. Constantine supposedly had this dream and see this cross in the vision in the sun or whatever, and then all of a sudden he convert to Christianity, and that's how, even still, regardless, any true worshiper, Hebrew, whatever the case may be, we knew our ancient forefathers knew not to have no images like it brought out. They would not have worshiped Yah that way with no type of image, symbol, or whatever the case may be. So again, it just goes back to, they do this stuff, they just accept the stories, they don't even test the foundation of their own faith. And they just run with this stuff. And like you saying, it's like they try to champion and fight it, you know, and debate it, and they don't even know their own stuff. So you come into war without a sword. You coming without the true weaponry.
And it's like, that's why we all got to stay prayed up and keep each other humble and keep each other patient, because me and my wife was talking last night, and I said, I hate to say it, but just to make the picture more clear, being with Yah is a blessing and a curse, because we're blessed to see things that our family don't see. But the curse part, it hurts that they really think they're rebutting it and saying something logical. And in our ears, nothing you saying is logical. So we got to, like my wife was pointing out, we got to find tactical ways with love to show them, like, no, this Bible, even through their adorations, we still can extract the truth because it's the Messiah right here. Let me take you to this verse. The Messiah promised to talk to us if we come back to the law. So that's why I can show and point out that this verse is tainted, not because I went to seminary, not because somebody laid hands on me and I'm speaking in tongues. It's because I'm being lawful and this is my book. These are my scrolls and my Father through his Son is talking to me. So that's what we're trying to find classy ways to bring our families that we love, mom, dad, brother, sister, our child, and now some of us, our grandchildren. How can we bring them out of these whorehouses? So that's what we're doing. But good point. I agree with you totally. They don't even research what they're doing.
A lot of them think they're wearing the cross because he died on the cross. It's like, why would you be wearing something around your neck?
That your Savior died on.
Like he died on the cross.
Can you imagine keeping a car that your wife died in? I'm like, get this car out of my yard. Like every time I go to my backyard, I gotta see this. And you know, when someone died of blood, you know the seats are stained with blood. So I'm gonna keep this car in my yard. Like, get this car out of here. So this is page 218 of In His Name by Reyes. Can you read this?
Mithras, the sun god, also known as the god of battles, had its own Mithric mysteries, which seem to have included a sacramental meal and a baptism of blood. In the baptism, the devotee, crowned with the gold and wreathed with fillets, descended into a pit, the mouth of which was covered with a wooden grating. A bull adorned with garlands of flowers, its forehead glittering with gold leaf, was then driven on the grating and there stabbed to death with a consecrated spear.
So let me show you give you a picture of what they're saying. Mithra is a god of the Babylonians. Romans took him, and they're saying what they do for their new initiates, they put them in a big old bowl, big old pit. They cover the pit with a wooden lid that has holes in it, like a spatula has holes in it. So they're covering this pit that a man is in, and they're gonna now walk the bull over the wooden lid because the lid has holes in it. Then they're gonna stab the bull. His blood is gonna drip through the grates onto the new initiate. That's their baptism. That's their baptism. You got the blood of a bull. I'm in the pit, and the blood is running through the grates, spraying on me. Y'all see the image? Yeah. Read on.
All right. A bull adorned with garlands of flowers, its forehead glittering with the gold leaf, was then driven on the grating and there stabbed to death with a consecrated spear. Its hot reeking blood poured in torrents through the apertures,
the holes,
and was received with devout eagerness by the worshiper on every part of his person.
So he's in the pit, like, yes, rub all this bull blood on me. Yes, oh yes, it's holy. Read on.
And his garments until he emerged from the pit, drenched, dripping, and scarlet from head to foot, to receive homage, nay, the adoration of his fellows, as one who had been born again.
Born what?
Born again.
Born what?
Born again to eternal life, and had washed his sins away by the blood of the bull. So family, all praises be to Aba Yah. Before I bring my point out, Nariah, you got something out?
Forgive me if y'all hear some interference. I'm outside. I just clocked out for work. But what you're bringing out, it reminds me, just like I mentioned before with Hasatan and his symbolism, referring back to like the phonetics, it made me think of like album covers like DMX when he was covered in blood, and Eminem and other artists who might have had these same symbolisms to show like a rebirth or a baptism of some kind. And I wonder if it ties into this ritual that you're talking about right here. So I just wanted to see if there's any similitudes.
They may have not known. It probably came from their handlers, who most time their managers and their promoters are Khazars. So they might have not known what they're doing, but there are people like, oh, it's gonna be dope. We're gonna put you on the album cover, and what we're gonna do, X, we're gonna put you all in blood, and it's gonna be like you being reborn again. So our people are innocent because they don't know their history, but the Khazars who handle our people, you know what that means.
That's what I be trying to say to some people who want to point out the faults of the people, which it is, you know, a fault on them, but half the time they just ignorant, and then they get stuck because they got a contract. Now it's just exactly what you said. There ain't no need to add no words to it, but it just shows you how our people get deceived, and the root cause will still just go back to our own fault.
Yeah.
Like their ancestors, etc.
Because DMX is the artist and moneymaker, but his album cover got to get approved by someone who's not even from our neighborhood. And yeah, I don't like that one. And X probably wanted something simple like my dog chain on with my dog. No, I ain't proving that. We want the one with the blood in there and the Becky in the back. That's how they do us. Not knowing who we are, we gotta listen to these people. So your point of ride, it very well may be part of Masonic and Babylonian customs that people falling victim to just trying to get paid. I'm just trying to get paid, selling your soul for $1. So family, I tell you guys all the time, you're gonna come across some studies and you're gonna stumble across a bone that you really can't put everything together. And you may be up all night like, man, this ain't sounding right, but I can't find enough witnesses. And that's when you're gonna have notebook entries and yellow stickies all around your house. And over the years, it may take a year or two, and you'll start finding more witnesses like, that's what I was looking for. And this is one of those moments. A couple years ago, I was reading for the umpteenth time, I'm reading John chapter 3. Yasha, can you take us there, please? Let's go to John chapter 3. And this is the whole point of going through this scholarship and putting the Hebraic thought back into these Greek adulterations that they call the New Testament. John chapter 3, y'all know it's the famous chapter. And for the sake of time, Yash, let's just drop down to, he say, John 3, and let's pick it up at 5. I'm sorry. Verse 3, calm. Let's go to verse 3.
John 3 at verse 3. And Yahushua answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of Yahweh.
So a couple years ago, this bothered me. And this is when I started getting more stronger into the language, into the culture. Because I know at this time, maybe a year or two ago, I knew that Yahweh Shai didn't come saying anything new or different than the prophets that he spoke to, because it was Yahweh Shai speaking to the prophets. So when I read this verse, John 3:3, except a man be born again, I'm like, that phrase born again doesn't appear anywhere else in any scrolls. No one said this phrase. He's the first one to phrase this. And it bothered me. I'm like, but let's finish the conversation.
Here you go.
Nicodemus saith unto him, How can a man be born again when he is old? Can he enter the second time into his mother's womb and be born? Yahushua answered, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Ruach.
Stop. So not knowing who we are in our culture, this wouldn't mean nothing to you. But when Nicodemus questioned, can a man be born again? Nicodemus is not an average Israelite. Who is Nicodemus, or what part do he belong to?
The priesthood,
He's a Pharisee.
He's a Pharisee. He knows the prophecy. He was one of the Pharisees that told them he is the Messiah. But Nicodemus kind of didn't want to lose his position with the Pharisees, so he would come to the Messiah at night. Hey, big homie, I know you're the one. The Sanhedrin coming to kill you. And Messiah was like, I know, Nicodemus. I was brought here for this. So Nicodemus is not a regular Joe. So if being born again in this sense is part of our culture, Nicodemus would have knew this. But Nicodemus is saying, he's asking, and to us being indoctrinated, it sounds like Nicodemus is stupid. Nicodemus ain't stupid.
I might, I feel like I might be off now. I'm gonna let you go ahead.
So, y'all read that last verse again?
Yahushua answered, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Ruach, he cannot enter into the kingdom of Yah.
So that makes sense because that's part of the culture and that's what the prophets was doing. Moshe baptized us coming out of the wilderness. But for you got my king saying, ye must be born again, and he's the first one to use, y'all double check me. Y'all know, always double check me. But I was up for days. I'm like, I'm checking all kind of lexicon. Yahweh Shai is the first one to use this phrase. And none of the apostles ever used this phrase. So now I get this record just this week and find out that you got a ritual to Mithras talk about being born again. You see how these Greek letters are adulterations, and we got to come back to the culture and put the Hebraic thought back into the New Testament. We don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. We cry out to Aba Yah, Aba Yah, help me. Aba Yah, show me. And his son is going to whisper in your ear, yeah, son, that don't make sense.
And it would be if circumcision, how I always process during the heart.
Write it down. Don't lose your thoughts tomorrow, y'all, because y'all going off now. Write it down.
Is circumcision of the heart.
Say that again.
Circumcision of the heart.
When I held my tongue, that's exactly what I was gonna say.
And
I missed it. Say it again.
so how I always process this, like being born again, is circumcision of the heart. And like if he would have said, in order to see the kingdom of Yahweh, you must be circumcised in your heart. You know what I'm saying? Then he's like, oh, but he added even more, you know what I'm saying?
So I don't know. I don't have enough witnesses right now, but this research is putting more in my mind. Yeah, this is not an authentic conversation. Yeah, because none of our ancients is going to mention anything that's pagan. So Yahweh Shai saying you must be circumcised in heart and spirit makes sense. But why did you, now, this is a Greek fragment that got produced by Constantine. Constantine was a pagan. Eusebius, you're scared of Constantine. Eusebius even wrote Constantine's biography. So you know Constantine got you. Come on, baby. You know what I mean? So Eusebius, or one of your homeboys, because now y'all in a rush to get these 50 copies out. Eusebius, you went behind all these people and checked their work? Can all these people read Hebrew? No. So I'm gonna break down the Hebrew for you. You take this page and you go write that chapter. You take this page, you go write this book. So now you got born again inside my elder's letter, and born again having blood all over you is for Mithra. And then none of his apostles ever told someone to be born again. It's always be baptized in the name of Yahweh Shai. They never said be born again. Somebody do a Google check.
I checked already.
I think Peter or someone mentioned being born again.
It's only New Testament, and it's after. Your point was Yahushua said it. Well, if he said it, everything else is after him. So, and I know you're saying that he probably didn't say it, but the language they use only comes after it's saying that he said it.
Right.
So I already checked.
Right. I checked a couple, and I was like, I think Peter or one of them said something like that. But it's like being born again is not the culture. Nicodemus is a doctor of the law. Nicodemus is a Pharisee. He's a Talmudist, but he's a Talmudist. I would say he's righteous because he's like, he's telling the other ones he knows too much. He's only 30 years. Look at him. He's only 30 years old. How did he know to come right in Jerusalem on a donkey? This Nicodemus like, y'all just hating on him. He is the one. So Nicodemus ain't stupid. In church, we like Nicodemus is dumb. Can a man be born again? How can he enter his? No, Nicodemus wouldn't ask that. He would know that, yeah, Micah did say this. So this whole conversation to me is suspect. Now I get this pagan telling me that they had a ritual to a Mithra god or Mithra where you do this born again ritual. You see the level we got to go through? We're behind enemy lines.
Gerald.
Yeah, Mariah, I think you 1,000% on point with that, and I get your point, because in the foundation of all of it, once you come to this truth and you understand that, like Christ said, he can't contradict his own words, he can't contradict scripture. He taught nothing new. He said, he taught nothing new.
Nothing new.
Everything he taught was already established. So the moment you start hearing something that sounds new, something's wrong with this. Either this is a translation error or somebody is trying to implant something. Just like some translations, they say stuff like they use a lot of Masonic phrases, or they use a lot of pagan phrases, like the point that was brought out earlier, the capital E on the Easter and stuff like. You clearly put that there. That ain't what that is. This is the same thing. You're bringing out the point of the origin of this pagan baptism blood thing, this Mithras thing. You bringing out the origin of it, and obviously one of the guys who influenced the translation was a pagan, so he made sure that that was put there, because that don't add up with nothing that he said. It don't add up with nothing he said. So it's good that Shamaria and I think I forgot the person. Yeah, Yashia. It's good that they can see that and use a discerning eye to say that, well, to me, I just take that as circumcision of the heart. But the reality is most of these pagans or Christians that's out here misled, they don't see it that way. They taking it literal, exactly for what that said. This is what the word says. So they think that that's exactly what he said. And that ain't what he said. So that's the danger. That's the danger in not understanding the level of these manipulated translations and adding and subtracting from the word. That's the danger of it.
Great point, because over and over again, we see our King, Yahweh Shah, interacted with sinners, and he would say, go and sin no more. He never say, be born again. Even when he breathed on the apostles before he was about to ascend, he breathed on them. He said, receive ye the Ruach. He didn't say be born again. So all of these things are being rained down on us through the Ruach of Yah by the blood of his son. And this is the level of scholarship we're going to. So my point is, we can't slow down now, family. The Most High in his last day, we're about to start prophesying in here, family. That's part of our heritage. People are going to start prophesying. We're going to get confirmations. It's nothing spooky and mystical. It's who we are. God promised to give us a word. Don't go to work today. Go shop here, over here. It's free food over here. Or this meat is clean over here. This is who we are. So if you're just coming in, or you haven't made time to spend with Yah, you have to, or else we're going to be always seem like light years ahead of you. It's going to be like we're talking over your head. It's not that we're talking over you, or it's not that we are more advanced than you. It's that we're spending time with Aba Yah and we're getting this fresh man.
Mariah, then back to Gerald.
Nariah, you have something out?
I just wanted to ask, is there, could somebody read out of the Septuagint, 1 Samuel chapter 10? Because I was looking for instances just to see if there was something similar to what you were saying in regards to when King Saul was anointed king, and Samuel had let him know that that the Spirit will come on you, and you shall be turned into another man. But I just wanted to see if that might read a little bit different in the Septuagint, or if the wording might kind of hint to it. It's well, in the KJV, it's 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 6. And I was just curious to see how that read in the Septuagint.
It says, and the spirit or the ruach of Yahweh shall come upon thee, and thou shalt prophesy with them, and shall be turned and shall be turned into another man.
Okay.
So, but again, now just going through this, it's just what Marah said. He said when he spoke to his disciples, he said about the ruach.
Right.
So that here again, the ruach is what's changing them into another man.
And not another baby
But it
being
didn't
born
say be
again.
born again.
Right.
So I'm kind of seeing what he's putting down. And then if you go through this, and we talked about this from the superpowers, the ruach of Yahweh comes upon our people for them to do these miraculous things that we've seen them do. So that's like congruent or parallel with everything we've seen throughout the text. Is that you don't see anything about necessarily being born again. You see them being changed by the Spirit. So that's interesting that this has come out in that way. Again, if they were to say, be circumcised in your heart, because B. Thompson wanted to get clarification on that. Let me see what he said here again. He says, circumcised meaning cut off the moral tendencies. Is that what he means, or in a spiritual sense? And I can say it this way, and I think the brothers will make it sound better. But circumcised in your heart, meaning that, like, to love the Most High, meaning that we're doing things not to try to appease the letter of the law, but we're doing it because we want to please the Father, because we love him. So we're circumcised in our heart, meaning we're keeping the commandments out of love, not out of a letter to where it's burdensome. Like, you're
not out of obligation.
You're right. Like, we are circumcised and changed from the inside to where we do the law because it's who we are. Right. It's what we are on the inside, and it's your intentions, So I know the brothers could probably even make it sound even better.
If I could,
go ahead.
B. Thompson, and this is something that I've been reading all week. So this is the Most High just bringing out what I've really been looking at. First Chronicles chapter 29. When you read that chapter and see what King David was praying and petitioning to the Father, he was essentially saying, Father, who am I to be able to house? What can I offer you that isn't already yours? These animals are already yours. These houses, these resources are already yours. This earth is already yours. So what can I offer you that'll suffice for your glory? Because when you really think about it, what's the one thing that doesn't act in accordance of the Most High's law? And that's us, our heart. So King David was like, the only thing I can offer you, because everything obeys your commandments and laws, the only thing I can offer you is my whole heart. And that's why King David was known to be after Yahweh's own heart. So if that helps in regards to what Shemariah was saying, that's what I wanted to add on.
That's a great again, everything belongs to him. So he don't want us sacrificing animals. Even the physical circumcision, we got to do it because it's part of the contract, but he's not getting no glory out of us mutilating our flesh. But it's for us to remember, because we're in this carnal state. And to make it clearer, it's the perfect example. What Shemariah was saying is with me and my wife. Yes, we're under contract to love, cherish, and honor, but I don't keep my vow to her out of the contract. Like, man, she got paper on me. No, I keep it because I love her. I respect her. I want to see her joy. So yes, we got. It's an old song. I'm about to go miss y'all. It's an old song, blues song. She's got papers on me. So she got papers on me. Yeah, she got me on paper, but I don't care about no paper. I love, she's doing everything to make me my home is happy. She's lifting me up when I'm there. So I don't violate our covenant, not because of the paper, because of the love. So that's what Aba Yah say. And then to make it even more plain, when we put it back in the Hebrew, the word, the Hebrew word for circumcised is galal. I mean, not galal, malau. Malau means to flow with the shepherd of authority. Circumcise your hearts for us is malau. I'm flowing with Aba Yah. Why? Because he's the great. He didn't give me this apple tree. My children is healthy. My wife's womb, she's popping out babies every 9 months. Why wouldn't I roll with him? So that's what he's bringing out. I hope that makes sense for you.
Go ahead, Gerald.
Kai, appreciate that.
Yeah, and just to land me back, because y'all just hit it. Another thought I had I wanted to go into, but y'all kind of hit it, and I just wanted to follow. And another reason why he could have been saying that to Nicodemus is because Nicodemus is divided. This man, he knows the law, he knows who Christ is, but yet at the same time, these Pharisees, they got their own way of doing things that's obviously contrary to the law. That's why they being condemned and everything by Messiah. So he telling him, yo, you got to get back in line with the shepherd. You got to fall back in line and be 100% whole heart, whole mind. Don't put nothing else before me. That's why it's necessary to say that. Now, when you talk about circumcision in a literal sense, every male of Israel had to go through that. But we also know every male in Israel wasn't a prophet. Every male in Israel wasn't able to do the things that the prophet can do. Every male in Israel wasn't able to do what they was able to do in Pentecost once the Ruach poured out on them, and they was able to start doing these miraculous things like the 12 and so forth and stuff like that. So obviously there's something to what the Ruach can do when you become this new man, when you're in line with the Ruach. But as far as the circumcision, that applies to everybody. So when that text say that they were circumcised out of coming out of the wilderness, whatever, then we know that, like you saying, the point you're bringing in, something you're trying to push a pagan idea here by talking about this baptism thing to be born again, and then talking about this blood and all this stuff. You got to be trying to push a pagan idea because it's now sounding different from what's already been established. But that's just the chime in another level of it, what I was thinking.
There's something right.
You said something right there, Gerald, too. You said about the blood, and then looking at this, and that's their whole Christian thing is by the blood.
Born again.
Born again and by the blood. So now we done, with what blood are you talking about? Like,
so now that's going back a couple slides. Y'all keep these pagan ideas in your church to bring more. So you're using lingo that the pagans are familiar with to attract more pagan converts. By the blood. I'm saved by the blood. A pagan knows what that means. You see how they kept this up?
It's like a mason if he's standing in a square in a building and they know.
So you know what that means.
By the blood, you thinking, a pagan is thinking, oh yeah, we know we got to get the blood of the bulls dropped on us for us to be able to inherit eternal life. And it's funny, they in a pit, so that's where they going.
That's where you going. Now, this is what the Ruach just gave me, y'all. Y'all got your hard copies of the New Testament in front of y'all? Y'all got your hard copies of the New Testament? You got yours? You got yours? Now, to make this born again have even more validity to it, even more weight to it, what did they do to Messiah's words?
Put them in red. Oh, they in red. Yeah, I got it.
So every time we see red, we Christians, y'all know your mother said you think Messiah said that. So now we tell a Christian, Messiah didn't say be born again. Oh, they in a cult. Oh my God, they say Messiah said he didn't. Because you don't know the language, you don't know the culture, and more importantly, because you're lawless, Yahweh Shai is not speaking to you to let you know I didn't say that. To cap you up, they put it in red. So now you've been programmed. Every time I see red, no, Jesus said this. It's in red. I know the publisher published it in red.
But they born again is like the soundbite of their whole Christianity. And it's only mentioned twice in that one chapter.
I think I'm gonna find it again when we done with these slides.
Nah, it's up. They mentioned it again, but I tried to like.
Right.
I didn't see it.
It's
Not
just
together.
it's
I'm gonna pull it up.
It's just after it's in John 3 and it's in Peter as well.
Born again together?
Yeah, First Peter 3.
Oh, yeah,
being
Pete,
born
well,
again.
123.
Yeah.
Being born again. Okay.
So they had to have Messiah use the term, and now you're gonna believe that Peter is saying it. Right. So I'm gonna pull them up on the screen so the people online can see it. But that phrase doesn't appear in none of our prophets. Nicodemus, you got Nicodemus asking questions like it's silly, because to someone who knows their culture, that is silly for someone to say that. Shamaria.
Now this in 2 Corinthians sound closer to being what we saw with Samuel. It's 2 Corinthians 5. It says, verse 17. It says, therefore, if any man be in Hamashiach, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. That's more like what Samuel was saying when the Spirit comes on you. Then the reason why that makes sense is because Hamashiach said when he leave, then the Father is going to send the Spirit of comfort. He's going to send him.
Wow.
So if you get sent Hamashiach, you're getting the Spirit from the Most High, which will make you a new creature. And the old things are passed away because we are following the flow
of the shepherd.
Come on now. And then behold, all things become new because he won't see the sins of the past. Hebrews 10.
Everything lines up in the Israelite culture, what we're saying. Everything's new because my sins are cast into the sea of forgetfulness. So it's not this Mithraism they're practicing in Rome that you done pushed into the Catholic Church, aka the Protestant Church. Now y'all, have you been born again? Have you been born again? Have you been born again? It's nowhere in the culture. It's circumcise your heart, and these laws are no problem for you.
And then that's Shawwal. Paul, he would have said, be born again if he's your champion. So this is where
these are context clues, family. This is the level we go to come back to Aba Yah. Now, any other questions before we go to the next slide? Y'all sitting down?
Mithras sacrificing a bull in the spring quarter at the sun's. Oh, hold on.
I knew he was ready for that. I knew he was going to like that.
I wasn't ready.
For those who not understanding what we're bringing out,
This is sun. That's that. See.
what'd you say, cuz?
Sun worship.
You got assemblies not understanding, and I don't want to throw rocks at them. They are our families. They're trying to keep commandments, and we love them, especially if they're believing in Yahushua. But this level of research and scholarship, you can't stop on the surface. So some assemblies are saying you can't start the new year until the sun goes into such and such house, until this vernal equinox, and you can't find vernal or equinox in any of the scrolls. We don't have a spring because that's what vernal means. Vernal means spring in regards to temperature. We don't have a spring. We have winter and summer. And those words, vernal or equinox, doesn't appear in any of our scrolls.
Read it again.
I ain't read it yet. I'm gonna read it, but I just got excited because I thought about. I sent my.
You screenshot that?
Well, I'll probably just use it from the video, like get a clip from it. But I sent Marah a message because I know everybody's gifts and how things work is starting to formulate with us. And I just sent them, I said, I'm gonna just send them the message because I know he already seen it, but I said it's gonna get the spirit gonna start working with him. And or at least that's what I was hoping. So that's what I sent them. I said, I'm just sending this because I believe the spirit will cause you to, dig deeper or something like that. I said. So I'm just thankful that that Marah is faithful and that the spirit will come upon each other and use everybody for their purpose. Yasha.
Use your mic, Akil. You wait. You in the back talking like Barry White.
Okay.
We started laughing.
So another, because if you want to get technical, how the weather is outside, this is
Summer.
There's some.
This is summer.
This is our summer.
Yeah.
But quote unquote, this is spring weather.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just another red flag that their logic is completely off.
Right.
It was spring weather in February.
Yeah.
What?
So for those of you who are still learning, the way we do our calendar, we started our new year. Right now, this is our second month. This new moon we just seen on Thursday, was our second month. Some assemblies are going into their first month.
And some on the 12th month.
And some are still on their 12th month. So we got some assemblies that are 30 days behind us, and some assemblies are 60 days behind us. And they've been taught by their teachers, who I'm going to just assume these teachers are doing the best they can with what they've been showed, but they got all different kind of reasonings why they're in their 30 days behind us or 60 days behind us. You got to wait till the sun goes in this house. You got to wait until the vernal equinox. And all of these parameters that they're living by are not found in any Israelite record. Now we're going to read about this sun being in the vernal equinox quarter. We're going to tell you where it comes from.
All right. Yeah, and it's crazy. I was looking it up here in the class today, and I came across an article, and that's what they're trying to say, like about what the vernal equinox and stuff. And I was just like, dang, that's crazy. You end up having this part in here.
Oh, just to point this out too, before it slips my mind, Gina's little boyfriend, little lip licking clown, LL Cool J. Back in the 80s, LL Cool J made popular a certain type of Kango. And those Kangos he took pretty much, that's his trademark. We all started wearing those. Well, I couldn't afford it, but I wanted one. But everyone started wearing those Kangos that had like the soft top because of LL. Those soft tops type of hats are hats for Mithra coherence. Those are Mithra caps. That's what they're called. Those are Mithra caps. That's why we do what we do. We wrap our heads. A mitri is something, it's called, a mitri is definition is a winded fabric around your head. We don't wear caps. Everything we do is part of our culture. So we was ignorant. We don't know that we wearing a Kango because LL, hey, LL look fly, girls like him, I'm getting me one. But that's a Mithra cap. Mithra caps.
Mithra sacrificing a bull in the spring quarter at the sun's entrance into Taurus, is that?
I think it's Gemini.
Gemini.
That's Taurus?
Yeah.
Okay. That's right, because of the bull.
Yeah, it says Mithra sacrificing a bull in the spring quarter at the sun's entrance into Taurus. The figures at the bottom twisted round with a snake. I take it to be Gemini, the second, to that sign, producing the whole variety of nature's works by new generations. However, Stakili's sketch and written description incorporate a great deal of more detail than the discernible on the more eroded original stone artifact. These additional details were probably the product of his extensive knowledge of Roman mythology and religion, as well as his own imagination.
So this man Stokely, he made the image, but his research, he knows where this bull sacrificing is coming from. And so you waiting for this equinox and the vernal equinox and all this mess. You think you're honoring Aba Yah with your calendar. You've been passed on sun worship. You've been passed on Mithraism. He's the sun god in another language. So Nimrod is a sun god. Mithra is a sun god. These nations just got different names, but it's all sun worship. Nowhere in Enoch does it mention anything about the sun. It says the moon brings in all the years exact. It don't say nothing. Now, if you count the rhythm, it does tell you that the sun is doing things, but it never says you can't start a year until blah, 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 blah. what he tells us, if the children of Israel keep these appointed feasts, then all the luminaries will keep rolling like a Swiss watch. But when the children of Israel fail to keep these feasts, everything's out of order. So their calendar is from sun worship. Now, we're not going to attack them because they don't know. They're doing the best they can. I'm letting you know with research, this is why we do what we do. We're not following the crowd. There's no 13 months. And nowhere that, if you go back to Exodus, Abba says to Moses, and this shall be your beginning months. He don't say, oh, if you don't see the barley up, add a 13 months. He don't say, look up into the sky and wait for the invisible gate to open up. He says none of that. He says, this should be your beginning moon. So this is where they're getting this from. When you're waiting on a vernal equinox and the sun to go this place and that place, you're following Mithraism, sun worship. Any questions or comments about that? But wait, there's more.
Bishop Irenaeus, in his dialogue, realizes the insanity in translating scripture to suit the whim of the authors and cities and criticizes and cites and criticizes his description of Papias' relation to the apostles and to Polycarp.
So Irenaeus is one of their church fathers. Irenaeus goes back to the 2nd century, 130 AD of the Roman Empire. So Irenaeus is one of their first and most proudest church fathers. He's your father. He's not the Israelites' father. He's your Catholic father. He's your Protestant. He's way older than Martin Luther. Irenaeus started twisting scriptures like tassels. So Irenaeus is about to attack Papias, and then he's going to bring something out. Let's continue.
The dialogue is intended to curb the rashness and boldness of his opponents in setting forth new scriptures.
Say what?
In setting forth new scriptures.
They're doing what?
They're setting forth new scriptures.
You're reading a New Testament that's been in Greek, and he's throwing rocks at his opposition, saying, you're adding to those apostles' letters. We got witnesses telling you these men are adding to the letters. Can you read it again, Ab?
It says, in the dialogue is intended to curb the rashness and boldness of his opponents in setting forth new scriptures. So he's saying that
John didn't say, or Messiah didn't say, ye must be born again. You're adding to the scriptures.
I was going to say, yeah, the dialogue that's in this work that they're bringing out is saying he's writing this so he can stop them from writing and adding new scriptures.
So
what he's trying to say.
Irenaeus has a book that he wrote, and it's called Dialogue. So in the Greek title, I don't know the Greek word, but in this book that Irenaeus wrote, he's attacking them, and he's trying to he's trying to stop y'all boldness and arrogance by adding to the Israelite records. Irenaeus is attacking his opponents, saying, listen, y'all are adding to the records. These Hebrews didn't say that stuff. That's what Irenaeus is saying.
And it says, scriptures are not actual word for word translations of the disciples.
What you say?
Scriptures are not actual word for word translations of the disciples.
Y'all see, I haven't been making stuff up. This is the level of research that you got to go to, but just come back to Abba first. Come back to the laws, statutes, and commandments by the blood of his son, and you're going to see this inside these letters. Yasha Yah?
So pretty much what I got from that sentence is that these New Testament, quote unquote, scriptures, these New Testament letters aren't actually the words of the disciples.
That's what he's saying. You think you read in Mark, you think you read in Matthew, Luke, you're not reading. That's what we've been saying the whole time. You got even Israelites debating people, I'm going to take you to Mark, and they think they're really doing something like Mark really wrote that. Like Mark really said that. You're reading a redaction of a translation of a retranslation. And if you don't come back to the phonetics of Israel, you won't be able to discern when these editors and these pagan Greeks did this stuff. That's why we learn the phonetics. So we can say, no, he didn't say be born again. Hamashiach probably said, Malal, be circumcised, flow with the shepherd of authority, and that's my father. That's what he was trying to tell Nicodemus. Stop running with your Pharisee brothers and come back to Aba Yah. That's what I've been sitting to tell you, Nicodemus.
Earl said every Christian believes it word for word.
I could see the Messiah too saying, receive the Spirit. And then Nicodemus could say, how can a man receive a spirit and be a new creature? And we don't know, but I'm just.
It would make more sense,
yeah.
but for him to be born again, no Israelite was like, what? Moses didn't say nothing about that. None of the prophets said that. What is this being born again? Can you finish this up? We about done, y'all.
It says, scriptures are not actual word for word translations of the disciples. Mark, the interpreter of Peter, recorded with great energy, if not with great accuracy, everything he could remember had been told about Christ. He himself had never seen the master.
He say what?
He himself had never seen the master. He was just the interpreter of Peter and could only retell what he had heard at various instances. Not always had he got everything well explained to him and commented. One should therefore not reproach Mark.
And that's what Papias recorded in one of Papias' books. So Mark and all the others are not inspired writings, to use their terms. These brothers, these elders of ours, was doing the best to recall their physical brain, their carnal bodies, to record things they thought would be important for you and I. They wrote enough for us to be convinced, oh, he did come, and he has to be the one the prophets talked about. Like we posted in the Telegram. The prophets said that this Messiah was going to be a stumbling block and an offense to Israel. What other historical figure in our nation has did such work as Messiah? Point him out to me. Point him out to me. Then he says that smite the shepherd and the sheep. What other historical figure in the nation was killed and then our nation just fell apart? Point him out to me. Give his name. You got a spirit on you.
That's big, because just that prophecy right there, that's just the first time I really just thought about it in that sense, because after he was crucified, put on a tree, then not too long, after that, 70 AD Roman time, we got kicked out and shipped all across the world. So that's why we say, oh, there it is right there. But that's why we say 2 or 3 witnesses. And I was gonna say the big thing is the prophecies. Like how can you see what's corrupt or not? Well, we gotta see what the prophecies say first, and then we can kind of go from there and look at this plumb line here. Because the prophecies is gonna guarantee. How do you know he existed? Well, Rome writes this. Forget Rome. The prophecy said this was gonna happen, and then it's happened. You know what I mean? Like you gotta do it. That's it.
Like going back to Mashiach, you know what I'm saying? Court or council, that when Pilate said, "I find no guilt with him, do what you please." Our people, our answer said, "Let his blood be upon us." His blood be upon us, the shepherd being smitten, and the sheep will be scattered. Right. Because of them striking the shepherd, we've been scattered and we're paying the cost for their decision. His blood has been passed down to who else? Like who else?
Who else caused this calamity on us?
Also, too, when you have a herd of sheep, and then like you have the shepherd. Imagine if some wild beast or something, which is Rome, came and attacked your shepherd with all the sheep there. What are they gonna do? They're gonna run away when they see him get slain.
He was supposed to be the one to rescue us, and they killed them. We gotta get out of here.
Right.
And where do we go? To East Africa. And then we keep migrating. So if this Yahweh Shai isn't the Messiah, show me your sources, you non-messianic. Who are you waiting on? Who are you waiting on? And then we got the popes themselves telling you, don't worry about these Jews. They deserve this because they killed their king. They're telling you you deserve this. So what's on? My spirits on them non-messianic. Get away from me. So these are the two bookmarks we got coming. This is the one in production. I got the plumb line finished. This is the one that's at the printer now. And these are your keys to understanding. The 5 W's. When you're reading a passage, ask yourself, who's the speaker and who's the subject of what's being said? What is the issue and what is the resolve? The Jews are in slavery. What is the resolve? Come back to the law. That's simple. This thing ain't deep, family. This life is not deep. When did this happen? Has this already happened? Or is this going to happen? You say the law is done, but then I read that the law shall flow out of Zion. How's it nailed to the cross if the law is being talked about in the future tense? That's how we run down these false doctrines. Then you want to say where? So Jesus died for everybody, but he's planting his feet down on Mount Zion. It says that Zion's going to judge the world. So how is he for everybody? This is how we unravel and try to help our family and friends. And then the why. What's the consequences? And like Nariah so beautifully pointed out, the pagan word consequences can be positive and negative. The consequence for us being weirdos right now and being scoffed at, our consequence is eternal salvation and a glorious body. But your consequence for being lawless is eternal damnation, lake of fire. So these are the bookmarks we got coming just to help you study. And then what I did edited the other. So those across the country, I may send you the digital part, or if y'all want, send me your address. We can mail them to y'all. But I edited this second half. What I did for these, I folded them up so they front and back, and I laminated them so they front and back bookmarks. But for this second half, Berean Student side, I put check the LXX, check the Septuagint. So I edited that for y'all. And this is how we're going to unlock our scrolls and come back to who we are. This is why you're having conversations and you're talking to people from different assemblies, and their teachers don't want you to question them, don't want you watching other people's lessons, but you can't give me things that make sense. And if you're for the nation, why can't we question you? Job questioned the Most High. The apostles questioned Messiah. And who are you in pagan 2022 going through their Jesuit schools? Can't nobody question you, great rabbi, great saint? Oh, you'll get it in due time. Your understanding is limited right now.
In the Christian world, triple doctrine of theology, and like it means nothing in vain, bro. You waste all that money and all that time on foolishness.
Foolishness. I got one more thing for y'all, and then we'll open up the floor for questions, comments, and concerns. I got one more thing. Don't hang up on this now. Is it hanging up? I got two more things. I'm sorry, Salaki, for that, because I'm gonna be the spirit. Let me do this first, and then we're gonna go back to this non-messianic spirit that's attacking us. Come on, what folder is it in? Downloads. All right, let me see. Sabbath. Some spirits are like Hamashiach says, some spirits can only be broken with fasting and prayer. Like in these last days, we got our families doubting us. Like, I don't know what to believe. That's all a trick of the enemy. Confusion, doubt, fear. The devil don't care which dart gets you. He just, as long as one of his darts gets you. So people who doubt the Bible, all of his faith, all religion is made up. Okay, show me your resources. When our power has predicted things that's happening, but your Islam can't do that. Your Buddhism can't do that. And your Christian Sunday pastor can't tell you why you keep being shot down.
And for the people, who say it's like, that's not, strong in the faith, they say, oh, well, if it's made up, blah, 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 then, they shouldn't believe any of it. So to your saying, not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but the resources that you was bringing out actually gives credence to the fact that there were writings. So you'll have you have an idea that there are writings that these people translated from. So it don't mean that the scripture, not to say scriptures, but the letters and things of that nature didn't exist.
Right.
Because he would have never said you're adding to what they said. They would have never said with the codex, the different codexes that they're annotating. They would have never. So it's showing you like, hey, we're pointing out that these things have been edited and changed for wicked practices, some by negligence, some by purposefully, but it's not saying that the scriptures and the letters didn't exist, because they are showing you that they did, because they had to have something to change.
I love seeing Bereans come alive, because you're saying these people don't even exist. Where's their graves at? There's no grave of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John. These people are made up. But their pagans are telling you their letters been changed.
Right.
Wow.
If Mark and Peter didn't exist, he would have never said Mark was Peter's interpreter.
God. Oh my goodness. Is the screen sharing?
Well, go ahead, you got it. And then Nariah, you got it after him. Yeah, the screen sharing.
Okay, yeah, Khan. To what you just said, Aba Yah, where's Matthew, Mark, Luke, John? Where's their graves? They probably didn't get no burial because they was killed. They martyrs. So you ain't gonna be able to find them anyway. So that in itself is a witness. We gotta really get rid of them.
So, somebody has something else too out?
Nariah, go ahead.
It just goes back to the testimony that I had today, looking at that elder lady speaking to her. Just the rawat and that spiritual blindness, that stupor that the Most High put on the people. Because even the spirit of wanting to know the Most High is the spirit of the Most High. So all the scholarship and all this research that we doing and that the Mariah is going through, that's because the Rawak is on him. And it's easy if you just spend a little time with the Most High, he'll give you the understanding to be able to discern these things. And Hebrews 4:12 has been one of my favorite go-to scriptures, referring to the word being sharper than any two-edged sword. So all I'm hearing when I'm listening to y'all, when it comes to that, it's just how Shai is just speaking to me more and more, saying this. You see why so many people gonna get cut off? Because they ain't gonna be willing to go through this level of learning and studying. It's just like when we was back in school. I know me, myself personally, I didn't want to study for anything because studying to me was grievous. Now, there were some people who were willing to do that, but praise be to Yah, he gave me the zeal to want to know this stuff. He put the spirit in me to want to know this stuff and learn. And it all started a few years ago before we woke up. I started gravitating towards history and not American history, but just history worldwide in general, because I was genuinely curious as to why the world hated us so much. But it just goes to show you that the Most High was really pouring his spirit out on his people to wake them up out of this stuff. And when you see the depths and the layers of what Marah is going through, and Shamar goes through, when Yashiyah goes through, like really living in this book, a lot of people ain't gonna be wanting to do that. They aren't even willing to read the regular KJV for themselves. So it's just that's the main thing I was hearing with that, man. The main thing I was hearing with y'all when y'all was bringing out. A lot of people just ain't gonna be willing to. They ain't gonna be willing to put the work in ultimately.
So on the screen here, this is the one of Eusebius's church history, ecclesiastical history, or church history by Eusebius, and you can download it. It's several different volumes, and I mean it's chock full of information. But he's a pagan, so we got to filter information. But let's just check out a couple of these paragraphs he wrote here.
Then, when the excess of wickedness had overwhelmed nearly all the race, like a deep fit of drunkenness, beclouding and darkening the minds of men, the firstborn and first created wisdom of the Most High, the pre-existent Word himself, inducing by his exceeding love for man, appeared to his servants, now in the form of angels, and again to one and another of those ancients who enjoyed the favor of the Most High, is in his own person as the saving power of the Most High, not otherwise, however, than in the shape of man, because it was impossible to appear in any other way.
So these ancient writers, they're very wordy, and it bores you to sleep, but you got to be patient. He says, then when the excess of wickedness had overwhelmed nearly all the race, his race is wicked. The Most High loving man, stop. What scripture said the Most High loved man? None of our scrolls mention that. That's how you got to pay attention. He says, induced by his exceeding love for man, book, chapter, and verse. He's always saying his love for who?
Tabal Yasharallah.
Yasharallah. So I want to show you and teach you how to be Bereans, and even through Eusebius and the rest of them, you can extract the meat from his work, right? Let's continue on. It gets better.
And as they and as by them the seeds of piety were sown among the multitude of men, and the whole nation descended from the Ibarion.
Descended from who?
The Hebrews.
So the whole world was wicked. Sleeping with your mom, sleeping with your daddy.
Alligators.
Sleeping with alligators and donkeys, Egypt. Why do my father gotta tell me, don't lay with an animal like you lay with a woman? Where have you been? What your mom used to say, Queen, when you come back?
You didn't get that from me.
I gotta train you over it.
Oh, yeah, I got to show you all of it.
I don't know who taught you that.
Who you been playing with? I gotta tell you, don't sleep with a woman like you don't sleep with an animal like you sleep with a woman. So Eusebius is saying the whole world was wicked and full of backward stuff. You're trying to plant crops in winter. You're trying to dig in the ground and put seeds. You don't know what you're doing. Then the Most High loving his people, but his people didn't love him, so his people got scattered. So now you're coming in contact with his people, and now his people are telling you, don't put your donkey in the bed with your daughter. No, your donkey goes back into a barn. Oh, actually, barn is a pagan word for barley. No, you don't keep all your raw materials under the kitchen sink. So the Hebrews are teaching the world. Y'all feel this?
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep going. Start over.
As by them the seeds of piety were sown among the multitude of men, and the whole nation descended from the Hebrews, devoted themselves persistently to the worship of the Most High. He imparted to them through the prophet Moses as to the multitude still corrupted by their ancient practices, images, symbols of certain mystic Sabbath and of circumcision.
So y'all doing stuff coming from Egypt. All your cutting you're doing in your flesh, and your tattooing, and all your altars, you done got that from Egypt. So he's bringing his people out of Egypt by Moses. And these people that's coming out of Egypt, they're worshiping the Most High of heaven, and they're doing it righteously, and they're teaching it to the world. Read on.
Through the prophet Moses, as to multitudes still corrupted by their ancient practices, images, symbols of certain mystic Sabbath and circumcision, and elements of other spiritual principles.
What evidence that we have that he's right here, that our people coming out of Egypt was still corrupted?
Talmud. Oh, not Egypt.
What event happened when we was coming out of Egypt? What did they build?
Oh, the Moloch.
The golden calf. So you see, this is on point. We were still corrupted by the ways of Egypt coming out. He's on point right now. Let's keep going.
But he did not grant them the complete knowledge of the mysteries themselves. But when their law became celebrated, and like a sweet odor was diffused among all men, as a result of their influence and depositions of the majority of the heathen were softened by the lawgivers and philosophers who arose on every side.
Our Torah laws made sense to them. Yeah, I should. That's why my son retarded, because I slept with my daughter. I shouldn't do that no more. Us teaching them, this is why we don't worship the moon, because watch, the moon's about to disappear into the gate. I know you can't see it, but the angel told our forefathers there's gates up there. We can't see them, but trust me, our forefathers was taken around by the angels, and there's gates up there. That moon is about to go down and the sun coming up. So let's worship the sun. No, stupid. Watch how the sun, our fathers are teaching them Torah, and it's making sense to the Romans and to the Greeks. That's what Eusebius is bringing out, family.
The philosophers arose on every side, and their wild and savage brutality was changed into mildness, so that they enjoyed their deep peace, friendship, and social intercourse. Then finally, at the time of the origin of the Roman Empire, fourth beast, there appeared again to all men and nations throughout the world who had been, as it were, previously assisted and were now fitted to receive the knowledge of the Father, that same teacher of virtue, the minister of the Father, servant of the Father, in all good things, the divine and heavenly word of Yah in human body, not at all differing in substance from our own. He did and suffered the things which had been prophesied.
Here's a pagan, non-Israelite confirming our king is real. We got more witnesses that Messiah lived, and what our scrolls record is their history is confirming it. These are non-Israelites saying our king was a real man. Read on.
He did and suffered the things which had been prophesied, for it had been foretold that one who was at the same time man and power, God, should come and dwell in the world.
So that's Christianity. Y'all know he's not the Most High. He's a power, but he's not the Most High. So that's their Christian dogma.
That's why I said power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say, like in the first paragraph that Shamario read, it said something on the lines of, it said, firstborn and first created wisdom of God pre-exists the word himself. That's a contradiction within their thinking. If he's firstborn, how he first existed?
Yeah, calm. You got to catch these pagans. They think they know something, but he can't be pre-existent if he's firstborn. He's the first created being of all the beings. He's first of the first Malachim, the first messenger created. was our king. He just wasn't in the role of a king right there or Messiah, but he's the first created creature of the Most High. Great point.
It sounded like he was reading Colossians or something, taking when he was writing this.
And so where we stop at?
Right here. He did and suffered many things which have been prophesied, for it had been foretold that one that was the same time man and power should come and dwell in the world, should perform wonderful works, and should show himself a teacher to all nations, Israel, of piety of the Father. The marvelous nature of his birth and his new teaching and his wonderful works had also been foretold.
He didn't have no new teaching.
So likewise, the manner of his death, his resurrection from the dead, and finally his divine ascension into heaven. For instance, Daniel the prophet, under the influence of the divine spirit, seeing his kingdom at the end of time.
Seeing whose kingdom?
Seeing Messiah's kingdom.
Come on now.
At the end of time, was inspired thus to describe the divine vision in language fitted to human comprehension. For I beheld, he says, until thrones were placed, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garments were white as snow, and his hair of head like pure wool. His throne was a flame of fire, and wheels burning fire. Okay, yeah. A river of fire flowed before him.
So that's all we needed, just to show you that our ancestors educated the world. So when we come and tell people that the world is not a ball, it's not a globe, it's blowing their minds because they're under Greek tutelage. No, the Greeks said it was round and it's sitting on these axes and it's spinning. And then while it's spinning, the sun is going around it. And you got to wait till the sun come back around to make a year. Book, chapter, and verse. That's what they taught us in their schools. Their schools are garbage. Our elders taught them. So you're crossing the burning sands to start. They crossed the burning sands to learn from us. But wait, there's more. I got witnesses. I don't just talk.
And just a comment to Gerald that you know how he was one of the first to bring out that according to his study, and I agree with him that in that prophecy, the Ancient of Days that did sit was Hamashiach, and the kingdom was given to Israel. He just pointed out that if you read what we just read, he said even they knew who the Ancient of Days was.
You definitely want to get Eusebius. I'm trying to make this big so y'all can see it, but all right. This is what we came for, family. We read all of that, the backstory. Now watch this footnote, if that wasn't enough. The Israelites, the righteous Israelites, taught the world, but the wicked Israelites became the face. So the wicked Israelites were like, no, we had a leap year sometimes. And so the wicked Israelites twisted everything. But at the first, the righteous Israelites were teaching the world. Read this footnote and we're done.
It was the opinion of Eusebius, in common with most of the fathers.
Most of who fathers?
Church fathers.
Eusebius agreed and the church fathers agreed. Irenaeus, Justin Martyr, Tertullian, Clementine, Athanasius. Coming up earlier, Martin Luther. All of your church fathers agreed with this. Read on,
That the Greek philosophers, lawgivers, and poets had obtained their wisdom from the ancient Hebrews.
Say that again.
It was the opinion of Eusebius, in common with the most of the church fathers, that the Greek philosophers, lawgivers, and poets had obtained their wisdom from the ancient Hebrews.
So you're crossing proverbial burning sands, trying to be like the Greeks, and the Greeks cross physical, literal burning sands to learn from us. You're backwards, you're out of order. You got the cart before the horse, and you think you got something. Throwing up Greek signs in your church, wearing Greek paraphernalia, and you're 60 years old. You look like an idiot. Read on.
Salakia, can we go right back to the slide before this one so I can screenshot it?
Yeah, let's finish this up, Bob.
At this point was pressed very strongly by many of the apologists in their effort to prove the antiquity of Christianity. The assertion was made, especially in the case of Plato and Pythagoras, Pythagorean theorem, who were said to have become acquainted with the books of the Hebrews upon their journey to Egypt.
So you give me Pythagoras theorem in geography and geometry, that Pythagoras theorem is how you find the area of a triangle, which is a pyramid. But Pythagoras, you ain't built no pyramid. How you know the math of a triangle?
Because you got it from the Hebrew.
You got it from the Hebrew. But to the victor goes the spoil. So now you win the war. The Jews are slaves. So you're soaking up Jesuit doctrine, thinking that the Greeks know everything. The Israelites know everything, family. Let's finish this up.
Virginia, you about had me scared. Like, what?
You know, you be scared.
Not like scared, but you know, like
we double protected. That's how she do. She's
like, what is Jesus doing?
Well, because
don't worry
I
about.
gotta explain.
We double protected in here.
It says,
Oh, y'all just read. Oh, I see it. I see it.
it says, so it says on their journey to Egypt, compare among other passages of, I think that's it. Yeah, that was it.
So family, I took you here to let you see we are natural born Israelites, and we're getting fresh manna. We're getting revealed revelation that everything they taught us in their schools and in their churches is an abomination, because your so-called facts are calling my Abba a liar. This earth does not spin. This earth is not a ball. We are the children of Israel. Your seminary doctrine is cockamamie, made up inventions. What is Psalms 1:2? Why do the heathen rage and imagine vain things? The sun going around and it completes a year, and you got to wait till the sun goes in this house. You got to wait till this. All this stuff can't be verified in our scrolls, and this is why it sounds like it's foreign, because you're under false Christian practices. Last thing I'm going to share with y'all, and this is it. This is it. Because this spirit that's attacking us is trying to sway our conviction in our king, and I won't allow it. I won't allow it. So this last thing I'm going to share, Shalom sis. What is it at?
Oh yeah, he was short and quick to the point today, so he pretty much done.
Let me go to my bookmarks.
Go back up. Do that.
Yeah, I'll go back for you, Joe. Just bear with me 1 second here. This is just for you all to bookmark. I just got to find out which web browser I used. All right, go to this long place. Nothing. Here it is. All right, so this is a resource. That resource we read in his name, it referenced this resource. So I said, let me go check it out and see what it's talking about. And this is what the resource is saying. Is the screen still sharing? So I can't do read mode because this is on Chrome. Oh, you know what? I should copy it. Let me copy and paste this because I want you to read this. I want y'all to be able to see this. I'm gonna copy and paste this and put it into Safari. So we have Israelites who are professing to be Hebrews, and they're Torah only, according to them. The old-fashioned word was Karites. We only believe what's been cut into the tablets, and they are discounting the Messiah. That the one, there's two different positions. One position is that whole account is fictitious. No one by that name was ever crucified. All those disciples are made up, and you have no sources to refute all the sources that says he was crucified. His disciples were real people. So it takes more faith, for lack of a better word, not to believe on our king than it does to believe on his king. But we don't have to rely on Israelite or Hebrew sources, because all of you and I, we are biased. We believe we're Israel. We believe we're Hebrews. He's the king of the Hebrews, so we're biased. Let's read a record by someone who wasn't an Israelite, who wasn't a Messianic. This is Morah bar Serapion on the wise king of the Jews, a Syriac letter from a man to his son. Can we read this up?
One of the ancient pagans' testimonial.
So he's a pagan. He's not us.
Pagan.
He's not an Israelite.
He's an ancient pagan.
So he is a objective witness. He's a pagan, ancient pagan. Let's read what he wrote to his son.
The date of the letter of Morah bar Serapion to his son is uncertain, but Peter Kirby lists the broad range of 73 to 200
of the Roman Empire.
The letter was written in Syriac.
It's just another form of Hebrew.
So I can offer only an English translation of the passage, which apparently testifies to Jesus of Nazareth.
To who?
To Jesus of Nazareth.
Here's a pagan, has no reason to lie because he don't believe in our way of life, but he's about to write to his son, and let's read what he writes to his son.
What are we to say when the wise are forcibly dragged by their hands of tyrants, and their wisdom is deprived of its freedom by slander, and they are plundered for their superior intelligence without the opportunity to make a defense?
Sounds like the Israelites being persecuted.
They are not wholly to be pitied.
No mercy. You said the blood be on our hands, and since you said that, these Romans are going to kill your offspring mercilessly. Read on.
What advantage did the Athenians, that's Greeks, right? Gain from putting Socrates to death? Famine and plague came upon them as judgment for their crime. What advantage did the men of Samos gain from burning Pythagoras? In a moment, their land was covered with sand.
So it's saying, listen, even the pagans receive recompense for killing good men of their own country. Read on.
What advantage did the Jews gain from executing their wise king? It was just after that day that their kingdom was abolished.
Strike the shepherd,
scatter
and the sheep were scattered. Here's a pagan telling you He's comparing our king to the wise Greeks and the other man. He says, and look, the Jews received the reward after they killed their wise king. This is a pagan. He has no reason to lie for us. So you don't want to believe our apostles. Those letters are tainted. What's your sources? I just got a feeling. I'm not basing my salvation on your feeling. Somebody you don't found on YouTube. Where's your sources at?
Oh, and God justly avenged these wise men. The Athenians died of hunger. The Samians were overwhelmed by the sea, and the Jews, ruined and driven, scattered from their land, live in complete dispersion. But Socrates did not die. He lived on in teaching of Plato, and Pythagoras did not die. He lived on in the statue of Hera. Nor did the wise king die. He lived on in the teaching which he had given.
He lives on in the Torah that we're practicing. Our king is certified. We don't need our scroll. We don't need to do New Testament. Do your scholarship. It's the other countries telling us this man they crucified and the Jews paid for killing him. It's a spirit on these people, family. And with that, I yield.
Just to make sure he lived on in the teaching which he had given. The teaching which he gave was the Torah. So that's why you said it.
And the apostles record that he was teaching and healing. So where's your sources that Jesus, we'll use their term, is invented? Where's your sources that he's a fictitious character?
So with that being said, right, we have to also look at it like this. If a Mashiach is teaching the law, and the law testified of who a Mashiach is, and you reject a Mashiach, you're rejecting the law.
So we're killing two birds with one stone. The Christians, you have no leg to stand on because our king taught repentance. Repent for what? What infraction did I commit? You broke the law. So he's teaching Torah, and for you Israelites want to be non-messianic, we got pagans saying that he existed. We got pagans saying when they killed this man, the Jews paid for it with their children's blood. Just like our prophets foretold. Who are you listening to? What spirit is in you? With that, I yield.
Go ahead, Gerald.
Salakia, two things. You just sparked another thought. What you just said, Mariah. The whole thing with the repent. They'll teach you that repent means to turn back. Okay, well, turn back to what? If I got off course, I wasn't born into knowing truth. I was born into sin. I was born taught to do wrong, basically, because I was born in this captivity. So if you know that repent means to turn back to what? What was the right course? What's the right course? And the right course is the law. Obviously, we're not on that path initially, so we got to turn back to it. So they say that all the time, but they don't even process it through to understand like what they turn it back to. But as far as like what you were saying earlier, before you wrapped up and yielded about the Messiah, it's like, yes, we've been establishing all day today how you can look and see how these letters been tampered, how the so-called New Testaments, and we can see how some of these other translations with the Old Testament has been tampered in some cases. We've been proving that since I've been associated with y'all. Those things has been admitted to improve. But it's another level when you just try to scrap all of the history and all of the figures, all of the people involved in history that history supports. When you just try to scrap all of that and say, I don't believe none of that. What? Like I said it one time before, it's like you have a whole dispensation of the Roman period in the first century, or the first, second, third, fourth century, whatever the case may be, that's now disappeared. Like what do you stand on when it comes to that dispensation? Like if you just scrap all of that history that comes with it. So it's definitely a spirit, man, and it's so reckless, like you said, to reject Christ is to reject the law. And man, like I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand how a person can go from one thing and believing in Yahweh Shah to just completely scrapping it that fast. I don't get it. I don't understand how that happens. Yeah, you've been lied to, and you realize you've been lied to, and you don't just want to listen to whatever you're being told, and you never read the scripture, so you need to read it for yourself or whatever the case may be. But you can't be making like strong foundational changes like that with the lack of understanding. Like you just can't. That is so dangerous. And all I can do is just pray, like I said, just wait. And just
These
wait.
these people are not being honest and fair, because you hold us to a standard saying, prove this man, and we giving you all of this research from outside, from non-Israelites, but you can't show me no research to disprove this man. Why was the Jews punished? Why was the black Jews punished? Why? I forgot the Pope's name, but why did that Pope say they deserve this? Because their God is forsaken. And then, whoo, the Pope is telling them they deserve this for what they did to their king. And then when you go to Deuteronomy, it says that the Most High prophesied that your neighbor's going to say, their rock must have forsaken them. You see how things line up? Mm-hmm. Our Father says that your neighbor's going to say their rock must have forsaken them. Then we got a Pope on record saying the Jews deserve this.
I mean, the letter you just read, he said that. He said the same thing.
So for you not to believe in Messiah, it's a spirit that's done took hold of you. And you got to fast and pray it out. That's what we're saying.
He wants you to scroll down to 24. And real quick, before you go, Nariah, this is something for you anyway that I wanted to say, since we kind of at the end. You read this passage right here. You read Hebrews 4:12. It says, for the word of Yahweh is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of the soul and spirit, or the napash and the rawak. So, and the joints of the marrow, and is the discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. So me just reading is bringing out more stuff, but that goes back to the circumcision, what I was saying. The Most High can see your intentions. So if you're not malal, you're not flowing with the shepherd, he can see your intentions like, oh, but you really thinking about sinning though. You really not really doing this for me, right? But that's not even the point I want to bring out. But this is how you can see that this will correlate, because he got this from the Old Testament. So if you read Jeremiah 23, Jeremiah 23, I'm trying to get it. I got it on one, but I'm going to get up here too. Jeremiah 23 and 29, it says, is my word like as a fire, saith Yahweh, and like a hammer that breaketh the rock in pieces. But when you read it in the Septuagint, it says, look, are my words like fire and like an axe smiting a rock. So when he says it's sharper than a two-edged sword that can basically cut down to your soul, when he told this to Jeremiah, he said, my word is like an axe that can smite a rock. He's saying it's sharp, just like what, so you can see where, if it's Paul that wrote this, right, where he got that from. Right. And then when I was reading this the other day, I think I got it marked. Yeah. So I was reading this, and this goes to the point that you was just bringing out about the Messiah. Jeremiah 23 and verse 5, it says, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute justice in the earth. And then it says, in his days, Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely. And this is his name, whereby he should be called, basically, Malak Zadok, or the master of righteousness. The king of righteousness. King of righteousness. So it says the Lord here, but you know.
So for non-messianics, right now, that land that we know as Israel, they're terrified right now. So that prophecy say that in his days, Israel shall dwell safely. If the Messiah already came for a second time, why isn't that land in safety? And if our king isn't the one, where is this man at? There's more witnesses. This lets you know that these people are under a spirit of evil. We call it a Rarak Haran, an evil spirit. That's why I don't shun listening to multiple teachers if you're strong and you know how to miss all that transition and all that piousness and, oh, I got this source. So what? Who published that source? Oh, the K-Source published that. Wow. Oh, it's from Hebrew University. Wow, very impressive. Hebrew University's been under K-Source control since it's founded. So if you're mature enough to dissect that information without getting starstruck, oh, he really showed him, vet everyone's information. But when you're holding me to a standard that you're not living by, you're running with philosophy. But you're so deep and got all these breakdowns, and yeah, I'm not messianic. It's a spirit in you. Now,
a witness to that too.
Hold on. To verify and to confirm how the Rawak moves, that Hebrews 2, he says that the word is quick.
4 and 12.
Hebrews 4 and 12, the word is quick and piercing. And the word is who?
Hamashiach.
John 14 and 21. He that hath my commandments and keep them, he it is that loveth me. And he that loveth me shall be loved of my Abba, and I will love him and will manifest myself to him. So if you're not keeping commandments, our king can't manifest, can't reveal himself to you. So if you done got caught up in non-messianism or whatever you want to call it, there's a disconnect. You ain't keeping commandments like you thought you were. So being non-messianic, you can't be keeping commandments because a spirit that got hold of you and disconnected you from the arm of Yah.